Check, 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 check. Yeah, it looks good. Okay, where are we? Ooh, early joiners here. All right. Hey, okay, welcome to Evidence-Based Audio Engineering and Education. This is number 160, and this is the commutative property of impulse responses. And I don't know that there is such a thing, but we're going to talk about it. Yeah. So let's get on to let me see what I got so far. So Mike, I don't know how he says his name. He's got Mike Robinson. He's got a Discord group. Let me pull it up real quick. I'm on like 5 bajillion Discord, so I'm sure I'll be canceled because somebody will see a Discord they don't like. But he has the unofficial Reaper users group. I think this is the one. There's a lot of stuff that goes on here, so this is a lot more active than any other Reaper Discord that I know of. So have a look. So that's let me say it again, the unofficial Reaper users group on Discord. It's also active on Facebook and YouTube. I'm going to pull up his channel in a second, I guess. Anyway, he's on Warren Hewitt's show. And one of the things that was pretty interesting when we were working on what's become a pretty popular product. You know, this is why this is the show is called Why I Love Reaper. You know, I had assumed. Yeah, I know. I had assumed that after 15 years or whatever, when did the first Reaper come out? 2005, 2006, more than 15 years. Other DAWs had caught up to Reaper. At least when we're talking about the very basics of routing. But sadly, we found out the hard way that that's not the case. Most of these DAWs really don't have internal routing. You know, plugins have multiple, I don't know if it's infinite, but plugins can have multiple inputs, not just the stereo pair that most DAWs have, or even, you know, multi-channel stuff. You might be using things for sidechain, for control signals, for information, statistics. You need a way to get to those other ins and outs. And a lot of the DAWs still don't do that. And, you know, of course, I'm going to be biased with Reaper, but I'm sorry that it seems like that's the proper way to be. I don't know. I really don't want to use another DAW if this is going to be the case. So sorry, but I know a lot of you guys, a lot of our customers use other DAWs, and that's fine. But I was, you know, I am very surprised that just your basic routing's not even there. And I wonder, I didn't get the chance to even watch this whole thing yet. I was watching it live when it was coming on, and that's pretty awesome. This is a guy that definitely deserves some recognition. Let me see. Let's go check his channel. I think he's got. I'm not sure what his channel's called, but he has a lot of stuff on metal. You know, just okay. So it looks like he was on the Home Recording Show podcast with John Tidy. Oh, and Pro Mix Academy. Look, he's got all kinds of stuff, man. This guy's doing it all. Look, he's got a gamer chair. You can't beat that. I had one in here, but I had to take it in the other room because it just doesn't fit. I wish. Yeah, my room is all purpose. I don't know if you guys know, like anything that dies at the school comes in here to get fixed, and a mix in here. It's just, yeah, it's never going to be super nice. I am putting up some new foam though. And I found that it makes it real easy to put the bass traps up. Just forget the fabric. I'm just like sticking the foam right to it, and nice. Actually, I put a packing blanket over, but I'm pretty thrilled about these new kinds of foam. They're nowhere near as hard to stick to the ceiling as they used to be back in the day. And before everybody gets on me about using foam, I know what I'm doing, sort of. And really, this is just a cheaper alternative to paint for this room. And besides that, I've had Ethan Weiner on my channel before, so I know. You don't have to drill me. Anyways, nice to see Mick, Mike, whatever on Warren's show. Give him a sub. Notice I'm subscribed here. He's got 5K subscribers right now. He should have way the hell more. Way the hell more. This is actually ridiculous that he's got 5K subs. Hopefully he's got another channel that's got more, but regardless, let's just blow him up here. This is a very good resource. His Discord is awesome. I don't know how he's keeping up on that, because those things are a nightmare. Ours just kind of runs. I think Dave actually puts a lot into it, where I probably should do more. I try to be active in there, but I'm actually more active in Mike's, whatever. Okay, so number 2, Jason Sedora, and you guys might have heard him on this show before, because he's the one who suggested to put a transient shaper inside multiband gates detector. And this made a big difference in how accurate and reliable the detecting is before we move on to the ultimate form of what we're going to do with multiband gates detector. This makes a huge difference. And so thanks Jason Sedora. I don't know exactly how to say your name for that, but in this case he made a and there's several videos on this, but this is one of the easier ones. He made a video called how to make impulse responses from guitar cabinet plugins for free. So really any EQ or anything you have, and this is the Dirac method. Back in the day, you would put the single sample spike through your through whatever chain you were going through, and this doesn't always work. There's a couple reasons why you could actually keep this from working if you worked really hard as a plugin developer, and I think that there's some that may have, but in general, you run this spike through your EQ, and what you recover is the impulse response, and it really works like that. I'm a little bit dicey on how much to cut, and just how loud it needs to be. Should you normalize it? Is that going to do something funny to the bottom of it? But so far so good. I'll be doing a lot more experiments with what I did capture from this method later on today. I may do that live, I'm not sure. But one of the cool things is right here in the link, download link to impulse generation wave file. So all the little spikes, you don't even have to make them yourself. He's got them in like 44K, 48K, 96K. I think he's got it in all. So really, especially for, I'm talking about using this with the Line 6 Helix. You want that at 2048 samples, I think is how it runs. And I think it automatically switches to 1024. Let me just check real quick. So if I have an impulse response that I know is 2048, ooh, shoot, that just broke everything. Yeah, nice. I know this one's 2048, but it's letting me pick it at 1024 samples. So I think Helix automatically switches that. I actually did a lot of testing of the way the splitting works on the Helix and stuff. I'll have that up on my website. I did post it to a certain forum, but this forum is really crazy about deleting stuff. I think we're going to talk about that later, especially science-based stuff. They don't really, they find it offensive or something. I don't know. But before I get too out in the weeds here, I do wonder how loud to make this. I don't know, normalizing after the fact, if that's going to have a weird effect on it. One of the things about this is, let me pull up where the impulse response starts has to do with the feel of latency. If you leave too much space on the front of the impulse response, it adds latency. I don't know if that's exactly right to say. I don't know how much of the front we can cut off. I really should make an experiment with cutting off different amounts and seeing how they sound. That sounds like let's do that next week. Let's do a real good experiment on trimming impulses. That would be awesome. I'm going to put that in my notes real quick. Sorry for the delay, but I really think a whole thing on trimming impulses. If you go and watch this on YouTube, or look on YouTube or whatever, or Google for this, you really won't find too much. I remember having a lot of trouble getting much information about this at all. The theory is out there. It's a little bit tricky, but let's go on from here. I promise I will try my hardest this week to do a video on trimming impulses, and we're going to test them and test it in real time, see if there's a big difference or not. Okay, what else we got here? I have a basic epistemology fail that I'm dealing with. Yeah, you know, people have a lot of trouble separating facts from feelings. Let's go on from here. Let me check the next thing is, okay. In DSP, you know, like the title here, is there a commutative property of impulse responses? Can you put your impulse response, your EQ, whatever it is, in front of or after another process and come up with the same results? Is that the commutative property? Let's see. Commutative property of multiplication. Let's see. I think that's going to be the closest. Let me read this real quick. Something's throttled here. Okay, commutative property of multiplication, definition with examples. And there's nothing here, so let me get rid of this. Thanks for popping this up. Okay, so here's the commutative property. The commutative property is a math rule that says the order in which we multiply numbers does not change the product. In other words, you could do 4 times 3 and you'll get 12, or 3 times 4 and you'll get 12. I don't know that this is exactly the same thing with impulse responses, but it seems to me that anytime we do a linear function, an EQ, reverb, delay, it seems to work the same. I'm really having trouble finding them not nulling. However, if you get a nonlinear process on there, like a compressor or a pitch shifter that generates new harmonics, the order definitely matters. And however, I don't know that there may be some cases where the difference is very small, and so I wonder about things like choruses and things like that. But I'm not 100% sure. I'd love to talk more about this with somebody who really knows this. Hold on. So, you know, I'm talking about somebody about falsifiability. If you make a claim that can't be falsified, I don't know where I could go from there. Sorry, 1 second. Let me mute. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. It's fine. I'll be here. Hey, everybody, sorry. Yeah, this is the nature of live stuff. And like I say, you guys are always free to jump in on this chat. I try and watch the Discord one. I try and watch the chat on the side. It's going to YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, all the Discord, whatever. I try and watch it, so if you got to type on there. And sorry about that. Sorry about that interruption. It's a working studio. It's a working school. We got a lot of stuff going on this morning, so sorry. So anyways, I'm having a little bit of trouble with the falsifiability. If somebody makes a claim that can't be falsified, you got to ignore it. I'm sorry. And so a lot of times when you see these arguments and people making claims about mic preamps or guitar pickups and stuff, if the claim's not falsifiable, move on. You're not really going to get too far there. So let me talk about this. I know we talk about forums and behavior and discussions a lot, but it's important because we need the right information to act on. People buying stuff that they don't need, or buying stuff that's worse than not needing, stuff that will make them fail. Claims that just ruin stuff. We want to, I don't know. To me, the end goal of audio is to get what I hear in my head to come out the speakers. Science is a reliable pathway to that, and anti-science is a reliable pathway to making that not happen. So one of the things that really trips me out is that you can go to something to do with musicians, man. Especially, I know, I'm sorry, especially guitar players. They believe some crazy crap. And not only do they believe it, they approach it with identity politics the way religious apologetics does. They'll make it into an emotion. They'll assign emotions to you that you don't have. They'll assign motivations to you that you don't have. And instead of talking about the actual issue, is 1 + 1 2 or not? No, they want to talk about your morality. They want to make moral judgments about your clothes or whatever. It's got nothing to do with the subject at hand. And so I kind of made this challenge to people. Try this experiment out on a forum that contains both recording engineers and guitar players. Not that engineers are immune to this at all. Okay, let's get that out of the way. But this is just an example, and this really kind of demonstrates it. Post the same reality-based factual information or question to both sections of the forum. Tell me if the guitar player section isn't a pile of idiots who has no idea what you're asking, but will spend pages insulting you. It's pretty much the Reaper users group level of Dunning-Kruger ass munches, let's say. And yes, I mean it as an insult. And yes, I meant it. And yes, I can back it up. And that's the thing. I constantly get taken to task for calling people names or whatever. But if the shoe fits, sorry, and I can back it up, and I'm happy to back it up. And if I get it wrong, like you guys have seen a million times, when I get something wrong, I say thank you. Now I don't have to repeat that same stupid wrong thing. The problem with religion is they can't be wrong. So no matter what happens, once they have that dogma in their head, that's just how it is. And you can't reason your way out of it because they have unreasoned their way into it. I used to believe that you can't reason somebody out of a position they didn't reason themselves into. That's not true. I've seen countless time. I've gotten out of stuff like that through reason that I didn't reason myself into. But if you unreason yourself into something, that's some pretty thick plot armor, you know. So last week we talked about getting a ban from the Gear page, but it's not like they're the only ones, but their moderation is excessively bad. It's I've been targeted. I'm sorry. I hate to do this whole persecuted victimhood, whatever, but the point is, my insults on there are pretty tame to non-existent, whereas I can just get dogpiled on. Whatever question you ask, some idiot's they can't respond to what you said. They have to respond to their emotional version of this thing. I don't know what you're talking about. Looks like some nonsense. if somebody's making a claim or asking a question, and how many times have we said this? It's like the old drum sample thing. He asked a technical question that deserves a technical response, not a moral judgment. And it's always a moral judgment. It's so ridiculous. So I can't, it would be wrong of me to show what exactly is going on, but I'm going to read this. I'll read my side, verbatim, so you can hear this. But, I was banned because I asked, this is what I wrote. So which is it? Are you calling me a liar or saying you can read my mind, or is there a third option? I told you what my intentions were explicitly now, off to ignore land. That's the extent of my attack on somebody. I was asking, are you calling me a liar or is there some other option? The amount of just plain insults and I mean, this went nuts. I can't even remember what this was about. This was the one about neural DSP in line 6. These people had just lied and lied and lied about me and made stupid claims that they don't want to back up. And yet I'm the one who gets nailed. So, the Gear Page's moderation is crap, and I'm sorry to have to say it, but, so, I asked, can you tell me which part of this post is offensive so I don't run afoul of the rules? When someone calls me a liar, I feel I should be able to ask them to prove that. Is that not the case? And so he says, just report the other members, do not go on the offensive. However, how am I going on the offensive? I've been attacked for like 3 or 4 pages on that one. And this isn't the first one. They've deleted several of my posts because they go on the attack. I get the infractions and then they delete the whole thread. Threads that are informative, that's the saddest part. So I said, thank you. However, I am still very unclear. In which part of that post did I go on the offensive? I'm trying to not get banned or reprimanded again, so I really want to make sure I'm not going to repeat any of it. I certainly don't see anything resembling the actual malice and lies about me that I was responding to. I'm assuming there were a number of temporary bannings from that thread. There, I'm calling them out. If you're going to ban me for asking, are you calling me a liar? When people absolutely said you are lying and lied about me and all kinds of stuff, I hope somebody else got banned. I hope somebody else got an infraction, but I don't think they did. And they won't answer me whether that's true. And I say, I asked because this is the second time where I got nailed on or a thread deleted when others were running ad hominem attacks on me and I only asked for evidence of their claims. We're considering ads on here. We are. And especially on 7string.org, because I go there a lot more. We're considering placing ads on this website. It's not cheap, but it could be worth it. But if this is the kind of moderation, I don't know. So, so let me go. We're considering ads on here and especially on your 7string.org site. But as we like to be a strongly evidence-based company, we aren't really thrilled to buy ads where personal attacks are okay, but showing or asking for evidence of scientific claims is not. And I'm serious about that. Hey, hello, you guys out on YouTube land. Share my check. Oh, looking good. Sorry. So I get a thing. Just report the post. Let the moderator do not attack the other party. Again. So I have to ask. I got to be clear. Why? I don't know why people don't want to be clear about stuff. So let me make sure I understand you correctly. After pages of personal attacks against me, with not a single personal attack by me back, me asking if someone calling me a liar is the bannable offense, was anyone else in this thread banned for this? And so it says, send me the URL to pages of personal attacks against you. I'll review them. How? You guys deleted my threads. How am I going to send that? You deleted my threads. So again, let me, I know you guys hate this meta stuff, but I gotta say it because this just keeps happening. Let's see. I got something from Mick. I know you guys hate this meta stuff. Oh, sorry. No, I can't see it. All right, I just gotta mute this real quick. Sorry. What did you say, Mick? Have to catch the replay. Yep. Yeah. No, no problem, Mick. No. And how do you say it? Is it Mike or Mick? Sorry. Okay. Anyways, let me get back to this. I'm sorry. I know you hate the meta stuff. And now you've heard it 3 or 4 times, but Got to say it. Because I'm trying to be clear here, and I'm trying to get to a point where we can have some conversations regarding science without people getting all emotional about it. Remember what the hell happened when we were trying to figure out clock speed and stuff on the computers, and the whole Reaper users group went nuts? All right. So I say, before I upset any mods here, I do mod other forums, and I realize the juggling and very delicate balancing act. And further, I know it's even more strenuous on you guys, as I've never modded a forum that has advertisers on it. So I know it's just one more tightrope to cross, and I appreciate that I am only trying to clarify what I see happening here. I understand this is a hard job, but everything's pointing to, I don't want to do the victim complex, but I'm the one getting nailed. I'm the one getting banned, and I'm not the one making the trouble here. I'm just stating facts and asking for evidence. Scientific and otherwise claims get posted, and either ad homs start flying and or personal attacks instead of attacking the argument. That's what's happening on this forum and many other forums. But I'm just talking about this one right now. I've been through this in other forums where someone will say that a certain electric guitar pickup cannot be used with guitars made out of a certain wood. Someone asks for evidence to back up the claim, and the claimant starts with the personal attacks and never any evidence. The gear page deleted the thread, so I can't post any of it. You might be able to undelete it and have a look for yourself if you're going to be honest. In short, the post I responded to made the claim that I had said something about line 6, which I didn't say. I stated that I hadn't said what he claimed. He claimed I did. I asked, are you calling me a liar, or is there some other option I'm missing? And that was given as the reason I was banned. Let's be honest here. And now I'm at the point where I don't believe this moderator is acting in good faith, because the situation has been explained, and they're attacking some other straw man. And again, I got to say it again. And I even wrote this damn thing out. Yet another example where people cannot respond to what is said, but have to run their own narrative. And that's what's going on here. So, again, this is the second time a thread was deleted because people were making personal attacks and or ad hominems. And the second I asked for evidence of their claims, I get the infraction, not them being banned for derailing the thread. I don't want to sound all preachy here, but I'm not going to make any claims as to motivations here. Okay, I didn't. But I certainly seem to be singled out for moderation here. And all the evidence is pointing there, and they're not even denying it truly. They're denying it, but they're not denying it. Perhaps I am upsetting some forum regulars, and it is sensibly on the safe side to have a firm hand, but I really want to bring to light the contrast between how it goes down in the recording section of the gear page. Remember, we were talking about that. In the recording section, except for a few true believers who I want to ignore anyway, and it doesn't really matter, this stuff gets argued, but it's the facts that get argued. So let me read this again, sorry. I really want to bring to light the contrast between how it goes down in the recording section of the gear page, where there is scientific rigor and some knockdown, drag-out fights, but nobody gets really upset and nothing gets banned, versus the digital modeling section, full of guitar players, where even something as simple as posting latency measurements seems to get the regulars in that area into personal attacks mode. Never attacking the claim, just the person who posted the information. And this is goddamn sure posting latency information, actual measurements, makes these guys attack you morally. It is crazy. So again, this guy's not reading at all what I'm saying. Please point me to that post. I'm not here to debate hypotheticals. There's no hypothetical. You deleted the thread, so I can't post it. Everyone is on even ground regarding moderation. I don't believe you. The moderators and administrators don't care if a member is an advertiser or a supporting member. I would have to see some evidence. I'll take you at face value, but I don't believe that. I'm not necessarily going to believe that anyway. Not one of us, including me as a team or individuals, reap no financial benefit in either case, so there's no vested interest. I didn't make that claim. I didn't make that claim at all. So again, we're going to put your own narrative on here. So a little straw man. We don't monitor proactively. So it's just going to hand wave away the fact that were other people banned because they did the attacks, not me. And so I said, like I said, the gear page deleted the thread, so I can't show any posts. But for instance, watch this thread. Like we usually say, he asked a technical question that deserves a technical answer. And we're gonna talk about this thread because it's gonna be a little bit more interesting to us rather than this just forum meta that we always get into. But I continue. I have a lot of the really insulting troublemakers who regularly say far and away more objectively offensive stuff than I ever have, and that is the goddamn truth, and you know it if you were to actually read what I posted and read the threads that you deleted. This is the truth. So, again, I'll say it. I have a lot of the really insulting troublemakers who regularly say far and away more objectively offensive stuff than I ever have, muted, so I can't see their posts. And that's the smart thing to do, I think. But even among those who I don't, they have already gone far beyond what I was dinged, what I was given an infraction for. I take it in stride and just mute people if they're only there to make trouble. And also, I don't mind a good-natured ribbing. I'm not one of these snowflake. And I know, because I love how these guys are always calling, these snowflake-sensitive SJWs. Hey, you guys are being the snowflake-sensitive SJWs here. You're banning speech that you can't argue with. That's exactly what SJWs do. This is what all religious nuts do. So we're going to have some little bit of fun here. I have to take a picture because I need to make sure I know who to re-ignore. But we're going to take a look in a little bit. So this is my ignore list right here. Let's. I know I'm sorry about this meta stuff. I'm sorry. But there's no real helping it. Okay. So, the main thing I want to ask here, and I think you guys know this stuff. Why do all the Dunning-Krugers have to answer without even understanding? Like, when you ask a question at the Reaper users group, even if people have no idea what you're talking about, they all got to jump in and make a moral judgment on you. It's ridiculous. And this is what happens on these guitar player forums, too. It happens in the recording forums from time to time. But it's frustrating because it just derails everything. Why all the condescending insults of the arrogantly ignorant? The whole Dunning-Kruger thing or whatever, but it seems like the more ignorant someone is, the more likely they are to insult you. Sorry, I'm going to open the door because I am cooking. We actually have a lot to do today. Some celebrities in today, but I really have to clean up. I have such a crazy ass mess, but just going to open the door because it's cooking in here. I didn't want to put the AC on. You guys know how that is. If you don't have perfect studio AC, it's just going to be noisy. Why not at least read the original post? Because you can usually tell somebody hasn't actually read the original post. And, I don't know why so I said, so come on, mods, let's see where my horrific, so which is it, calling you a liar or reading my mind, is worse than any of this. So we're going to go through this. So first of all, I'm making a screen capture of who I have ignored because I'm going to stick them both right. I'm going to stick them right back on ignore. But for now, I'm going to unignore a lot of these guys. Let me see. I wonder if I can re-ignore. This guy's just staying on ignore. He made some magical claims and then wouldn't back them up whatsoever. He's gone. I think these other guys I ignored because of the guitar thingy. So let's see. Okay, so this is gonna get kind of deep in the weeds, man, and I know I got some people coming soon. I might have to bail out of this, but this is I really think this is important, or at least interesting. So, I made a post over at the gear page called. Let's see. I gotta refresh this because all the ignored people. So this is at the digital modeling section. I had actually posted this accidentally to the recording section, and I got a bunch of really good answers. But like I said, it's different over there. So I moved this over to the digital modeling section where it actually belongs. It is called Helix. Using a reverse impulse to erase the cabs. So if you know anything about basic audio, and we've done several shows on this particular point, the dual path philosophy, whatever. If you're doing like digital modeling and stuff, whatever goes to the PA system has got to have the sound of a speaker cabinet on it. In general, for a guitar, right? You don't want that fizzy amp sound just coming right out the PA. It's got to sound like it's a mic'd up amp. And some, in the old days, they handled it by miking up the amp. It's problem solved, right? But nowadays with digital modelers and stuff, you feed the PA system an impulse. However, if it's also going out to your guitar cabinet, you need it without the speaker cabinet on it, because the guitar amp's going to have a speaker cabinet. What's nice about some devices like the Helix, and I think Axe Effects and some others, you can make separate paths. One's going to go out to the PA system with the speaker cabinet on it, and one's going to go out to the guitar amp without a speaker cabinet on it. And in most cases, it's actually not a very tricky thing to do. Turns out pretty good the way Helix does it. It's pretty smart. But I had a little bit more complicated of a setup, and because some effects were after the speaker cabinet, that makes things tricky. There's a million ways to skin this cat, but I was looking for, experienced Helix users. I guess I went into the wrong place. I'll read the thread. On a more complicated routing setup, it can be hard to position the sends of the guitar amp in a sensible way that removes the cabinets from the signal, but still keeps the important elements. I was thinking of making an IR, an impulse response, that reverses the cab sims. In the below example, it still wouldn't be ideal if I put it after the compressor, but it should be okayish. So I've already... let me tell you a little bit about this signal chain. If you're looking at this, you can see that the cabinet is before this final output compressor. What that means is the compressor is responding to the a filtered signal, the cabinet signal, to make its determination of when to compress. If the Helix had like side chainable compressors, and there's kind of a way to do it, but like let's not even talk about that right now. But there's not an actual side chain input into the compressor, so the only way to actually filter the detector itself is to put the filter in front of it. Sorry, 1 second. Hello, Kylo Music School. I could have a teacher call you real quick here. Is this a good number for you? I'm not sure what they're charging at the moment. And how many, what? Sorry. Oh, usually, we start out with one a week and try and supplement them with, where our kids play, like, they do their own little concerts and stuff here. But let me have a teacher call you, because she'll have way better information for you. I don't know what they're currently doing right now. What's your name? Scott. Okay. And what was that other question? Oh man, it's pretty open right now, except for you might have a little bit of trouble Wednesday afternoon, but she's been bringing on a lot more teachers, so it's getting a little bit. We're not as lots of times we're limited by the number of teachers we can field, but we're doing okay right now. So. Very soon today. I'll check back with her in just a second here. I just got to finish a little bit of stuff, but I'll be sending this to her right now, and then I'll check on it. Kailua Music School at gmail.com. Okay, thank you. Okay, sorry about that. Hey, Ed Rise here. You never win by calling out the ignorance of others, no matter how right you are. That's true, but this ain't for their benefit. They could be hopeless. This is for everybody else's. So, order matters when it comes to compressors, right? The eternal debate between the EQ before or after the compressor. Whatever you're doing, you are, unless you're using a side chain and something else for the detector, your filter, your cabinet, your whatever that you put in front of that compressor is going to determine how it acts. And so when we're talking about the commutative property of impulse responses, if that's even a thing, which I kind of think it sort of is for the most part, for linear stuff, a compressor is a nonlinear device, so it's gonna change. So I can't do the normal thing that you do with the Helix, and in this case, I've got 3 different amps and 3 different cabinets that they've got to make, and they're actually going to make different combinations. There's 3 different reverbs. I mean, this is a DSP nightmare here. And it looks like a crazy convoluted nightmare, like it says. So yeah, first of all, so what the F, WTF, right? And I'm fine with that. Hey, it's a complicated thing. I really like this from Bob Zod. Yeah, thanks. I did this and a wormhole opened up in my studio. Now I got to figure out how to get the cat back before the wife gets home. Now, were I going to people who really understood the Helix, or DSP, or audio engineering for that matter, this is a pretty tricky question, because we're trying to get a lot of stuff out of this is very much like when you're doing a monitor mix. What do you want in your monitors? Do you want the same thing as coming out the front of the house? I don't think so. This is the same thing as when you're doing a talk show and you have different guests. Do you want the guests to hear themselves over the headphone? No, this is a mix minus. Audio engineers get this. People with an open mind get this. People who are actively trying to understand what the hell is going on get this. Dunning-Kruger trolls don't get this. So from this genius, you got to start insulting because you can't understand what's going on or whatever. He says, where'd you put your pills? Fine. That could be funny. I'm okay with it. Somebody else says, this looks like a 2016 Helix preset. Okay. Somebody else says, what exactly are you trying to accomplish? I have a feeling there are more straightforward solutions. Now, I don't know why people ask these kind of questions. But if you want some clarification, that's fine. I just don't understand how to clarify. What are you trying to accomplish? You're getting your amplifier sound out to the PA. The PA system wants a speaker cabinet. Your guitar amp doesn't. That's what I'm trying to accomplish. There's not that much to it. I don't know why. Let's just move on. So Mr. Dunning-Kruger says, yeah, like not putting a cab in line in the first place. Well, then your PA system doesn't have a cabinet. Somebody named LaceSensor 1 says, I think the manual states that this voids the warranty. That's awesome. Now look, I'm not calling for anybody to get banned because they said something funny. Anyway, so I responded to the like not putting a cab in line in the first place. That would pretty much suck for the PA send, wouldn't it? I mean, come on, man. If you read the OP, you understand why that's wrong. Somebody else, Phil M. I like Phil M because he seems to get it on a lot of stuff. He said, this preset makes my head hurt. What exactly is it doing? I told you what it's doing, man. I mean, come on, let's get out of that. But I try and answer. It's like 4 wildly different sounds, so it took some shenanigans. The trick now is to also have a just-in-case send with no cab emulators on in case it ever has to go into a regular guitar amp cab in parallel. Again, forget the caveats. Forget the disclaimers. I said exactly what I'm looking for. There's no need to go outside and try and do some judgment or something. Ideally, yes, I'm going to be playing through a full-range flat response cabinet. I have one. I really love my Alto TS210. I may get something else too. Ideally, I'll have that, but just in case there's a guitar amp there. Sorry, guys, just in case. I'm not asking to kill your mother. I'm not asking to torture your pets. I'm just saying, just in case that all I can play through is a guitar amp, I want to make sure that it's okay. Is that a bad thing? What the hell is wrong with these guys? So I'm going to clarify a little bit. The real big beef for me here is the compressor. The speaker cabinet, of course, acts like a sidechain filter for the compressor's detector, so it can't really be reversed out as it is a nonlinear function. And so again, Dunning-Kruger John Quinn says, no, you're reversing the cabinets. Why? And so I got no choice now. I have to assume at this point that this guy has no freaking idea whatsoever about audio engineering or audio in the first place. I'm sorry, but this is so unbelievably ignorant or willfully ignorant that Now we got to start from the beginning. So I say, you understand that a PA system wants a signal with cabinets and a guitar amp doesn't, right? I mean, I'm sorry, I got to ask that question. But I further clarify, I always get pages of insults where it turns out that the insulters don't even understand the basics of audio. Not saying that this is you in your case, but just putting it on the armor before I get banned for defending myself. Again, the moderator made it pretty clear that if I even try to defend myself, I'm going to get banned again. And so I said, please note, I'm not defending myself. I'm only trying to explain what I'm doing here. I'm sorry, the Gear Page. Your moderator sucks. It's at this point, I'm just going to have to say it's disingenuous. Now, somebody else says, not specifically Helix related, but a user on the Boogie board posted an IR that negated the built-in cab clone filter curve in some amps. I don't see why that wouldn't work here as well. And he's right. If I was just reversing out the speaker cabinet, I could probably do it. But Big Cup Holder points something out to me that should have said a duh and a kick in the junk, duh. He said, reversing the IR does not result in an inverse of the original filter. It should be invertible, though, within the audible range at least, so you could at least do that, but you're going to have to learn some math. I don't know about that end part. That's kind of insulting and unnecessary. You can you could null out the filter, but it's not going to do exactly the same thing that you're thinking. And so another Dunning-Kruger dumbass was saying, how about not using a Capsule in the first place? Why didn't you read the freaking thread, man? For real. And then some other dumbass, Jive Turkey, says, +1, there's more than one output on the Helix. Do this. If you went back and read the actual original post, you would know that that's exactly what I'm doing. So these guys are just, I don't understand what the issue is. Why go and insult before you, I mean, they're just being idiots. I obviously already am doing that. So you're just making yourself look stupid. But because you're preaching to a bunch of idiots, they probably won't even realize it. And you're probably too dumb to understand how dumb you are in the first place, which is kind of the whole Dunning-Kruger thing, right? So, Carl Hausenecht, I don't know how to say this. So just route a split at the end of your chain, 1 2/4 inch outs with no IR and 1 with an IR block, 1 XLR. Again, read the goddamn OP. And if you did, you'd realize that this is what I'm already doing. But I had to respond to Kyalek about how about not using a cab sim in the first place. I say, you understand a PA system wants a cab, right? I've got to go back to the basics. These guys are that dumb. Or just that malicious. I mean, pick one. You know what they say, don't ascribe to malice that which could be ascribed to incompetence. Now, I have no doubt that these guys are incompetent, but I think they're malicious as well. So I wrote, did you read the OP? If so, where would you suggest sticking the IR block? Because the truth is, I can't just do that. I can't put the cab on the end. I do that on several of my presets, and you can actually see them in the same forum where I show them. So obviously I know about that, but that doesn't work in this case because of that compressor. Again, and I was answering the Big Cup Holder about the reversing the IR. So I said, are you sure? I thought you could null these. And see, here's a case where I am wrong. Somebody's pointed it out to me, and I'm able to fix this. I like this. So Slooper 29, and this is something that we used to have to do for Line 6 products because they used to screw this up. I've thought about this problem for a while, i.e. send a no IR signal to the guitar amp, send an IR process signal to the front of the house. I think the most elegant solution here is to get an external pedal to process your IR. Make sure it has a through out and just send that to your guitar amp and the process signal through the other guitar output. The two notes cab emulator would do this. Again, we can't because of the position of where that is on the compressor. But that was a perfectly good way to do this particular function for the most part. Again, for stuff that you want after the cab, it's not going to work, but that's few and far between. And I really would like to get rid of those things anyway. Let's see. Paisley Wookie posted something, but that guy's an idiot, so I don't bother. Now, Alex Knievel says, and so if you're going to be called Knievel, I expect great things from you. And we got that. He said, it might just be easier to find a way to place the cab blocks near the end of the chain with the send block before I'm routing that cab simless signal to the onstage cab, which is, again, what everybody has said. But we can't do that because of that stupid compressor. On the other hand, you could maybe just use a plugin with the tone match feature to tone match the cab sim signal to the cab sim less signal and capture an IR without EQ curve. The second option sounds like a headache. It looks like you've got several cab blocks going, and I assume they're not all running at once. So multiple IRs would need to be captured for what I'm thinking would be different snapshots. It's actually not bad. So if we go back to the original thingy here, there were, let me pull this up. There's 2 cabinets, but the way they work is they're summed back to mono by this EQ. This next EQ is a mono block. So these are summed together. So I can actually take both of these cabinets and these 2 EQs and turn them into an IR. There's nothing wrong with that. In fact, before he posted that, that's what I was already doing. So I said, bing, bing, bing. This looks like the way out. Because the 2 IRs up top sum to mono, I can build an IR with them in the 2 EQ blocks before and after, and everything should be okay. That frees up a lot of DSP. Thanks for being one of the few that actually read and understood the problem before snarking at me. I'll try this with the Dirac, which ended up being the way I did it with Jason Sedora's method and downloaded his, what we call Dirac, right? So Alex Knievel responds, oh, definitely. Distill all that down to a single IR. Hell, all of the active cab sounds and EQs can be turned into their own IR, so you could end up using a single IR block that changes IRs per snapshot for the cab sims and another for the cancel cab, and some more finagling might be in order. And I said, crazy that you can switch IRs in the same IR block with snapshots. Does that make trouble in real world use? It seems to me like switching an IR is such a hammer that you're going to go like skipping or popping or some kind of nightmare happening. But it seems like it's not happening. So you can switch IRs in the IR block of the Helix, which is absolutely awesome, man. And so he responds with about as much trouble as changing cab sounds in the middle of a gig, which can disrupt your place in a mix, in my opinion. Fine, but that's to be expected. Mod IR says, was about to suggest this exact same thing. Unless you specifically want 3 amps with 3 distinct cabs and no 2 of those be parallel for each other, there is, I'm fairly certain, a neater way to route this preset so that you can both save some DSP and have a no cab sim output related to this and send. True. Now, see, this guy, he thinks, he's fairly certain there's a neater way to route this preset. This guy's thinking. There are a lot of people who just say it can't be done. This is the funny part. So, Carl's responding to when I said, did you read the OP? If so, where would you suggest sticking the cabinet? He says, I did. I'm not sure I understand why you'd want to do what you're asking. Seems to me you're trying to do something that no unit made can do right now. So there's just several things. I told you why I'm doing this. Because of the basic fact that I want a cabinet on the PA and not on the guitar amp. It's that simple, man. Like, I don't believe that you read this. I don't believe that you're understanding anything. And the idea that you're trying to do something that no unit now can do, bull crap, man. Of course it is. And so I said, not at all. It's what the Helix was meant for. Quite a bit of the initial marketing philosophy even. Remember that. The Helix was pushed hard that we could send something out to the guitar cabinet and something out to the PA system and get the best of both worlds. That's just how it is. That was what they said about the damn Helix. Now I'm talking back to Mod IR, who was the one who suggested there's a neater route. And I said, we almost need a Helix auto Tetris function. Like if you're good with Tetris and putting the blocks together, to re-scramble stuff until it all fits and still has the routing that it needs. I was thinking you could do a really sick trick with separate send and return blocks too. I have a feeling that there's a way that I could stick a send right here and a send, sends right here on the hardware. I wish you could do this in the software. It sucks that Helix Native doesn't allow you to at least use the send and return blocks to at least place them for your hardware unit. It really sucks, actually. But let's see. We got... you could put a send here and then a return like right after the cabinets. That would really do something special. And I'm going to experiment with that later on, but not right this second. I'm not sure exactly how that might affect certain things, but we could try it. But anyways, So here's Hot Rat 73, another dumbass. You're trying to do something that Helix routing capabilities can't give you. Rethink your strategy or adapt your needs to the tool you're using. The reverse IR cab sounds like a good way to screw up your sound, in my opinion. I wish the Helix had more parallel paths or cab IR blocks with internal send to physical apps or global out cab, but it doesn't. Therefore, I build my presets according to putting IRs at the end and splitting the output. Wrong. We can do this. The Helix routing capabilities are incredibly comprehensive, and I'm doing it. Rethink your strategy. Yes, that's what I'm doing. Or adapt your needs to the tool I'm using. I already did that. Again, somebody else, LaceSensor says, recommend new thread. I don't know what that's about. Mad Max 25 says, I know the Helix is much more than just a guitar modeling unit, but I really wish there was some kind of global IRs cab off for this physical output setting like there is on some of the other units. It's tricky because just turning them off or on may not work. You'd really need more paths, like, to be fair, Hot Rat said. But again, I think that guy's going on ignore. Now, Laxu, L-A-X-U, whatever. This whole preset seems unnecessarily complicated. Remember that you can also split the paths to 2A and 2B, so there's no need to merge them back on the upper portion. I'm not sure that matters in this case, but that is interesting. I didn't know that you could actually send the two paths out. I'll have to look at that. That's interesting. If you're not trying to run all of these at the same time, but switch between multiple amp cab models, then you can simply remove the cab blocks and replace them with a single IR block and replace the switch using snapshots. That's true. That's what we're doing. Somebody else says, that preset looks like a David Lynch movie. Step on the wrong button and you'll find yourself in a different time, place, universe, unable to go back. Somebody else is responding to the global IR cab switch, which is, again, is not bad. A global option to bypass IRs and a global IR block, preferably of the new metallurgy cab type. Interesting. I need to take a look at that. But again, the Gear Pages crap ass mods deleted the whole thread about that I did about that. So I'm kind of unmotivated to go take a look. Hot Rat says, I don't think we need a global IR block. In my opinion, it's better to have a cab IR block that can be route to unprocessed signal to physical output internally inside the block. Well, we kind of can. Sort of. But if you did have an actual output right there, that would be interesting. Not a bad idea. As Carl Hausenecht says, when I've responded with not at all, it's what the Helix was meant for. Quite a bit of the initial marketing philosophy was about, the separate routing. It says, I'm struggling to figure out what part of the Helix initial marketing philosophy included phase canceling out the effects of standard cabs. I didn't say that. That's not my claim. That's your own straw man. There is a prescribed method for running a cab affected signal to a PA and a signal without cabs to an amp, but you're going to need to restructure that preset. I don't even know what to say here. Okay, so I'm responding to Laxu. The whole preset seems unnecessarily complicated. Remember, you can split. Okay, I didn't know that you could do that split. I don't think it'll help in this case, but for sure, another one I'm working on. There is a pitch shifter one that I'm thinking about that would help. But I'm going to re-explain because we're on the third page or whatever, and maybe people forgot the original post, or I doubt they read it in the first place. So when he says, if you're not trying to run all these at the same time, you can use the IRs, which is true. So I say the issue here is that one path needs the cab before the compressor and the other two need a cab after the compressor. They can't be commuted because the compressor is a nonlinear function. This would still need a few too many DSP pieces to make the guitar amp out properly in parallel, but I do have it simplified quite a bit now by combining some of it to a single IR. So go back to this Dunning-Kruger dumbass. I'm sorry. Too bad. I'm just going to have to call it because these things keep getting derailed by these idiots. That's a pretty self-made problem you have there. So is every single time you pick up a guitar, it's a self-made problem. Deal with it. Of course it's a self-made problem. We're solution makers, To me, the Helistically is realistically a 2 amps, 2 cabs in parallel device, and while you can shoehorn a third in, it makes routing everything just excessively complicated. Well, that's your lack of imagination. This is the argument from personal incredulity, argument from ignorance, whatever. Sorry, I don't give a crap about that. So when I was asking about reversing the IRs, like I thought you could do, Big Cup Holder correctly pointed out my flawed logic here. So he says, yes, I'm sure. Reversing the IR does not give you an inverse of the original filter. Actually, I think it actually does, but that doesn't give you the result of the inverse of the original filter. That there's a difference there. I think I can prove this with the sweep, but inverting a filter is not a trivial task, since anything cut can't magically be added back in. That's the issue. When you cut something out, but then he says, spend some time in Google reading about FIR filter design. No, that was kind of worthless and dickish. There was no reason to say that. But it's true that you can't necessarily get back what you cut out with like a high pass filter or whatever. Jonathan Tice presents a false dichotomy here. You will have to either, 1, make separate presets for each amp with a cabinet at the end of your chain and send a block to your physical cabinet right before the cabinet block, or 2, remove all your cabinets and place a single cabinet at the end of your chain and send the signal block back to before the cabinet block. If you think you need different cabinet sounds, and use an IR block instead of cabinet models, since you can change IRs with snapshots. You are trying to send to the PA 3 different modeled cab sounds, but you're also trying to negate those cab sounds and send it all to a signal physical output that only has one sound. Does that make sense to do? Of course it does. Of course it does. That's what we're trying to do. Give the PA system a cabinet. Give the guitar amp no cabinet. You're trying to place all your modulations and reverbs after your cabinets and then to the PA. I do this, but then you're going to send the modulations and reverbs to your physical cabinets. Does that make sense to do? Yes, it does. Because I can't change reality. It's going to suck that it's going to change the way this thing is going to work a little bit, but I don't care. That's what's going to the amp. That's just how it is. There's no, I don't have a way around that unless you can invent time travel or something. That's just the way it is. So yes, it makes sense to me because that's how it is. What I'm getting at is if you're outputting to a physical cabinet, make your PA sound like your physical cabinet. That's the ideal, but well, if that's what I wanted, but that's not exactly what I'm doing. I'm making the PA sound like the mic'd up cabinet with the studio effects after it. And I think that's something that you guys aren't getting, but had you just read the original post, you would know that. If you want drastically different sounds, use a PA monitor, not a guitar speaker cabinet. Get out of here. So this guy, Limbo, there are easy ways to do this. Grab the return point of a split and drag it down until it becomes its own signal path. You now have another output to work with. Select that and choose XLR, and now you're connected to your PA. Move the split after the amp. Again, this is not actually reading what the actual issue is. Again, there are things after the cabinet. I can't just put these on the end. And then this really lame... Go to the Line 6 site and download the HX Edit pilot guide and read it. I think one of the biggest mistakes the Line 6 made was to include a bunch of overly complicated patches with the Helix. They just confuse people. This is so talking down, condescending stuff. I don't think he means it, but you go read the manual. That's not going to help you with this. I read the manual. I understand the manual. I actually corrected. Yeah, here's how much I've read the manual. I corrected the manual. I think Line 6 has fixed what's wrong with the manual that I pointed out. I made a video on it. So I've read the goddamn manual. All right? Don't RTFM me when you don't know what the hell. Okay. Anyway, and we go back to loud, bad rock and roll. The issue here is that one path needs the cab before the compressor and the other two need a cab after the compressor. And he says, that's cab sim abuse. Remember, cab sims are barely more than a low-pass filter with a slightly weird roll-off slope. You for sure can get the same result using EQ plus compression rather than a cab sim. Leave those for the FOH feed. That's not the issue. So I said, no, in this case, the cab sim is acting as the filter for the detector. It cannot be swapped in order without either a way to filter a way to filter the detector. Compression is a nonlinear process as well, so the order is critical. And so I was responding to that Limbo guy who told me to read the manual, and I said, this is already what I'm doing, or at least one of the choices under consideration. It's actually why I wrote the OP in the first place. If you read the original post, you would know this. And so this super dumbass, check this one out. Same guy, loud, bad rock and roll. No, in this case, the cab sim is acting as a filter for the detector. He says, keyword, filter. I'll be gobsmacked if there isn't an alternative filter that doesn't do what you want, only better. Keep that in mind because we're going to talk about this gobsmacking. So I'm responding to Jonathan Tice, who told me you have to either make separate presets for each amp, whatever. You'll learn how to mic a real cab, then you'll understand what a cab sim should sound like. That's a whole nother issue, Simon. Come on. So anyway, I told Jonathan Tice this is a false dichotomy, as has already been shown on the thread. Your two choices are not the only two choices. It's a false dichotomy. And he says, you're trying to make the send for 3 different model cab sounds. Does that make sense to you? Yes, of course it does. And one of the reasons the Helix is such an awesome product. This is a common routing tactic in professional audio engineering. Get over it, man. We make mix minuses all the time. When you're making a monitor mix, you make a different mix all the freaking time. You guys are so frustrating. Says you're trying to place all your modulations, reverb after your cabinet. Said, yes, it's a hard compromise, but yes, it's better than the alternative for me. I know what I'm trying to do. I'm not asking you to make a moral judgment on it. This is so ridiculous. And so when he's talking about, the order, it's going to get a little bit messed up having that reverb, not the reverb, the chorus before the guitar cabinet. And I say, I see what your issue is, but I'm okay with some parts of the last dish escape hatch of a guitar amp ready signal will have some compromises. And that's what it is. Just in case I don't have my FR and I got to plug into a guitar amp, I want a freaking working signal. Get over yourselves. Seriously. And I said, so the other guy, remember, Loud Bad Rock and Roll, said, keyword, filter. I'll be gobsmacked if there isn't an alternative filter that doesn't do what you want, only better. And I said, well, prepare for a gobsmacking because there's no freaking side chain filter input on the Helix compressor. That's it. You've got to put that filter in if you want that compressor to act the way that it's acting. Without that, the detector is going to act on a different signal. You are wrong. You are factually wrong. You are so wrong. It may be that you're not even wrong. So Guitar Dave says, I understand what and why you were discussing, but it seems like a bad direction to go. You'll be able to solve it another way, but your preset is convoluted enough that most people aren't going to be able to help at all. Then don't help. I don't need your help. You're a dumbass. I'm sorry that you lack the imagination, but why do they come in and naysay this stuff? Because spoiler alert, we figured this out elegantly and it's nice now. So why the naysayers? Why the nonsense of already saying before it even happens that you can't do this? This isn't how science works. Your argument from ignorance just makes you ignorant. It doesn't advance anybody. Telling people not to try for no reason, you've got no reason. You can call it convoluted all you want. Just because you can't understand it, to quote Mike Muir, just because you don't understand what's going on doesn't mean it don't make no sense, because it does. And like I said, spoiler alert, we did figure it out. DLC86 says you can't reverse a cab IR because it contains zeros. Frequencies that get completely canceled out, lows, highs, notches, all that. So reverse IR would need to boost those frequencies infinitely to really compensate for the original IR. You need to take another route. Yes, you are right, and I was wrong, and I am now corrected. Jive Turkey says someone fire up the @J Mitchell signal. Go ahead, because Jay Mitchell's going to back me up here. You guys are idiots. And so when I said this is a false dichotomy, has already been shown in the thread, I must have missed the part where you solved your problem. That wasn't my claim. Of course we did, but that wasn't my claim. So again, and some other Dunning-Kruger said IRs are just EQ. That should summon him. That's pretty good, actually. So I acknowledged DLC's point that I can't reverse an IR and said, excellent point. He said, you need to take another route. And so I said, yes. Thanks to this thread I did, collapsing many of the EQs and parallel cabs into one IR greatly simplified the whole setup. Now the upper path is to the PA on the XLR outs and to the FRFR, full range file response cabinet, with a master volume knob on the Helix itself via the 1/4-inch line outs. Lower path goes to the emergency guitar amp if needed. The emergency guitar amp. Get this through your goddamn heads. The reason I'm saying this is just in case the FRFR is not there. I don't want to rely on the PA system guy to get me monitors that are going to work. If I got a guitar amp, I want to be able to plug into it and use it. That's just simple. So again, lower path goes out to the emergency guitar amp if needed. Thank you, forum, for those who actually read the original post and helped with this much simpler and more elegant solution. And to those who kept saying it can't be done, here you go. And if you take a look at this, it's nice. It's so much simpler now. It has exactly what it needed, exactly what I asked for. And you guys are all idiots. Here it is right here. And had you just read things or tried to be honest instead of just insulting me and showing everybody your ignorance, we could have arrived at this in one page. And so I'm responding to this, Jonathan Tice again. Oh, I must have missed the part where you solved your own problem. I said, it was a false dichotomy because you claimed only 2 choices when there were several more. Also, I didn't claim I solved the problem, or at least in that post, though we did solve the problem. And I say, so many fewer threads would get deleted and so many less infractions would be given out and way more knowledge could be shared if people actually read what people are saying rather than injecting their own emotions or metaphysical worldviews. I'm not allowed to use the religion word on here, but we all know that this is what it's boiled down to. This is dogma. This is religion. And I'm replying to Alex, who had talked to me about simplifying the thing. And I said, thank you, way simpler now and working perfectly as expected. And I show a picture of it. And there you go. That should be the end of the thread. And for the fun of this, I am going to go back to ignoring all the idiots I had ignored. Put them back on ignore. And my life is going to be infinitely better for not having to deal with these idiots. Nice to see you here, Ed Rye, Mick Robinson, Mike Robinson, whatever, and Simon Larkin. So I got to get, but I'll see you guys next week.